Well, I've got the top out of the clamps. I've sanded up to 220 around all these edges, and I'm quite pleased with that. I've got one hinge on the other side already, and what I've done is picked up some 30-inch long piano hinges, as shortest I could find, and I had to cut about 6 inches off, and I got it in place here with some blue tape. Got the lid clamped down, and to drill my pilot holes, I'm going to use my Miller's Falls egg beater drill. I've got it marked here with some tape for my depth, and it works actually very well. Doesn't take long to make a couple pilot holes. So yeah, I got 4 done right quickly. Now, put these screws in, put the little brass screws. I'm not using a drill, using a screwdriver. I don't want to strip these out. Well, I got a few more holes to drill and screws to put in, but I'll finish that up and then we'll come back and see how this thing works. Well, I got the doors installed. Now I will be taking the hinges off a little bit later. I just want to have them pre-drilled and fit and everything, make sure everything was good. I'm happy so far. I need to do a little tweaking on it, but opens up quite nicely. Now you can see the first look of what the inside of my toolbox is going to look like. I want to put some magnetic catches here in the center to hold the doors in. I'm going to do that, and then I'll start making little holders for each and every tool. So I'm ready to get started with that. Since last time, I've laid my tools out already how I want them, and I have started making some little wooden holders. As you can see, everything is pretty much made out of scraps. You can see a few there. I'm going to scoot down to this cabinet where my hand planes are. Then we'll come over to this one. And out of those 3, I have everything ready to hang. Come down here where all my marking tools and measuring tools are. I haven't done anything there yet. But for these 3, I'm ready to start attaching them. So let's get started with the hand planes. Well, we're going to get started here. I'm putting little strips left over from some scraps in between each plane to kind of hold it there. And as we all have our snafus, I was going to use my pen nailer, put a little glue, use my pen nailer, and that little cheap pen nailer won't even go through that oak. So I've drilled some tap holes and put some finishing nails in there. So I am going to put a little glue, just a little bit. And I've got the first one already done here. Put my number 7 up against it. And then I'm going to put this one up against that. A couple of those started. Pull him out of the way. Finish it up. a shot. All right, next goes my number 5 Stanley. Put him in there. Grab some glue. Do the same thing to it. Then we bring in the next one, and so on and so forth. I'm going to finish these with my planes. I'm doing a 3-part holding system for my hand planes. The rails, I've made these little holders to go at the top, and those were from scraps from my door cut-offs, because I had that dado in there, and all I had to do was cut the lip off, and these make great little holders for the tops. After that, under each metal hand plane, I'm going to be putting a magnet. I've got all the runners between my hand planes done now. And I've got one of my little guys here already put in, and I'm putting a little bit of glue, and I've already got finish nail started. And these are just barely going to hold the tip of it, keep it from tipping out. I don't want to get it too far over. Test there. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. Do one more here. Bring them out of the way. So I got the block plane to do. Now for this guy here, he's a little bit different. So what I did, I laid the side of it down and drew the profile on a scrap piece of oak. And right now I've just got a pilot hole drill with a little nail in it. And what I'm going to do there is get him right where I want him. And I've got my little hole marked in my board. Now what I will be doing for it is drilling a hole through it, and then I'll have to stand it up and screw it in from the back side. Also, my Miller's Falls rabbit plane is going to go about right here, and I'm going to do the same thing with this piece of dowel. You know, sometimes they call us woodworkers wood hoarders. You know, I had a 6-inch piece of dowel from an old closet rod. You know, you just can't throw stuff away, and it'd come in handy. So I'm going to put it about right here. I'm going to drill a hole there, and then it will be screwed from the back side as well. So let me get finished here, and then we're going to go into step 3 of the hand planes. All right, got my 3/4 inch Forstner bit, and I will be drilling some holes for the magnets. Got one done right here. I could have marked my Forstner bit, but I've just set my calipers the thickness of the magnet and used the tip in there to a little bit deeper. And I want those sitting flush with the back. Okay, what I've done, I've got all my holes drilled. I've taken my magnets and put them on the steel rule, steel square here, and the side that's sticking to it is the strong side. I went ahead and marked the back, so that way I can make sure that where I got it marked, I don't want to see that. So I don't have any epoxy, but I'm going to use some CA glue. Just a little bit. Drop him in there, and a little paper towel. Wipe out the excess. That looks pretty good. Let's do another one. Okay, let's finish those out. Then we'll start hanging some. Okay, the magnets are ready. Let's give them a shot. Put number 7 in. Put the toe in first. And it's got a little grip to it there. Let's see, number 5. Yeah, that's going to be just, these are not very strong magnets at all, cheap magnets. But that's going to be just enough to hold them. And block plane. Of course, my wooden plane won't get a magnet. And remember, I still have to flip this thing up. I've got my hole drill for it, and also for the rabbit plane. Now, what I'm going to do next, I've got some of these little, I don't know, little pegs that you would hang teacups on or something, I don't know. And a good friend of mine at work gave me this little cabinet from a friend of hers that did a lot of crafts, and it had all kinds of dowels and things like this, and little brass hinges and brass screws and wood plugs, the little buttons, just all kinds of goodies, and I use them a lot. So thanks, Vicky, if you're watching. So I'm going to use a couple of these to hang my spoke shave, and I put it about where I wanted it. I was trying to get a good mark where I wanted it, and I took a piece of blue chalk, hit the end of it like a pool cue, and just stuck it right where I wanted it, give it a little twist, and that gave me my mark right here. I'm sure it's hard to see. And then I've put my other one over here. So I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch hole. For those. Fit good. And put a little bit of glue on these. And where'd my mallet go? Okay, and that will sit just perfect like so. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and hang 2 more pegs. That's the flat spoke shape. I am getting the curved one. I've got a few things on my wish list for Christmas, so that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to go ahead and make arrangements for them. So I'm going to go ahead and mark and hang these other 2 down here. Also, I'm going to take 2 of the same plugs. I'm going to hang my little peen hammer right here. When the cabinet's standing up, it'll hang right there. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that. I've got this side of the cabinet done. I've got my plugs in for my little peen hammer. And remember, I still have to screw from the back side to put this bracket in and this, but I'll do that when I'm finished and stand it up. I went ahead and done my router plane. I drilled and put 2 dowels in there, and I went ahead and put a magnet in there too to help hold that guy. But I've got a little room in this corner for something one day, and up here maybe. I still got my other start with my chisel holder. Originally, I had bought one of these magnetic strips and at Home Depot. And one of the tabs that you screw in was bent really bad when I took it out of the case. And I put it in my metal vise, and I was trying to bend it, and I tapped it with my hammer a few times, and 3 of these magnets flew out. They're just like domino size magnets, and altogether it's really strong, but individually they're really not that good. But this thing here, worthless. Don't waste your money. Don't do it. So I went, and what I should have done to start with, took a scrap piece of my oak, drilled some holes, cut some slots there, and this will hold my chisels, the ones I have now, and I plan on buying 3 or 4 more of those. So let's get that guy in. I'm gonna put a little glue on it to start with. Got little marks here where I want it. Let's line that up. And we'll screw it in. Okay. Now also, I've got an extra little strip here. I've already got it pre-drilled with some screws, and I want to put it down here, and just so the while the chisels are up here in this rack, you know, that they're going to swing a little bit, so they'll rest right on that. So let's put that in. Put our chisels in. Actually, that's the second one. This is the only Lee Nelson I have, the 1/4" mortise chisel, and I want the full set of those. But they fit in there, they lean on that quite nicely. Next, let's work on my Lee Nelson carcass saw here. I'm going to mount that up here at the top of the door. And to start with, I've cut one of my scrap strips. I'm going to glue and screw that down. Line it up on my mark. Will rest on top of that. I've cut another little strip here. I'm not going to screw him in. I'm going to glue him in a minute and let that set up, but it'll go into here to hold the other end up so it sits flat. Now, to hold the saw in, I've cut one of my oak scraps, cut oval to fit the handle, and I cut a slice of that little dowel rod off and put on here. Then I've made a little handle, and it will go in here like so. I'm going to glue and screw that in. Well, I got this side of the cabinet done and this door done. Chisel holder, got my little saw holder here. I can just turn my little handle, saw comes right out, sits right in there. Lock it in with my handle. Got my little gent saw here, and I rigged up a little thing here in the corner. I went ahead and took care of that. Just a peg and another little piece of wood to hold those in snug. And this still gives me room for my Lee Nelson dovetail saw, also on my Christmas list. So, let's go over to the other side of the cabinet. Okay, on this side, I'm putting my egg beater drill, my Spofford drill brace, draw knife, scorp, drill bits. I'm hanging my coping saw here on this side of the cabinet, and over here I've got my little branding iron, which I'll have to use on this cabinet soon. I'm going to hang it on this side. And it's nothing but just drilling holes and gluing pegs. So I'm just going to skip through that real quick, and then we're going to get over here to this other door, because each one of those I haven't done anything for yet, and that's going to take a little time. And it'll just be designing one thing at a time for each little tool. So let's knock this side out. Well, I've got this side taken care of. Got my little hanger up here from a branding iron. The only little jig I did make, I made a little thing to hang my egg beater drill. And just a little piece of wood with a hole drill through it. Sort of like the chisel rack. Got everything else hung here. my auger bit box is just going to sit there, and I think I'm going to put my mallet in here. This is one my dad made me a while back. I may make me a new one too, but this has been a good one. I'm just going to lay him in the bottom. That's going to sit still. Still got a little room to add a few things. And this door was the most aggravating of all of it. Each little thing, I just come up with some little pieces of wood here and use some of my old magnets there. Even that sorry thing I picked up at the store, I took one of the magnets out and used it here. And it worked real well. I've already done the other side. The only thing I have left to do is put a door pull down here, and I made that out of some of the scrap too. That's all. It's just got a little lip. That's all I need to grab it. Okay, door pulls are done. All the tools are secure. I'm ready to take it back apart. I hate doing that, but got to. I'll take all the tools out. I still have to flip it over and put screws to the back for those other two holes, and I will get to that. And but I'm gonna take the doors off and start putting the finish on. Welcome back to the shop today. We've taken the doors off. I had my wife Jan help me. Say hey, Jan.
Hey.
And Jan likes to sand and put finish on, and she helped me do a little touch-up sanding, and we got it set up here, and we're ready to put the first coat of finish on it. And what I'm using is a mixture of 1/3 shellac, boiled linseed oil, and denatured alcohol mixed together. So that's going to be our first coat. You ready, Jan?
I'm ready.
Let's get started. I had thought about putting some stain on here, but I think this color is going to do me just well. And then I'll put a sealer coat on top of that later on. Okay, we've got the inside of the doors done. The cabinet's just about done. We've got a little bit left here to go. So, do this side here. Then we're going to go back and check for any drips around the edges.
Honey, you missed a spot. Right there.
Okay, dear. Well, yesterday my wife helped me put on a coat of my shellac, linseed oil, and denatured alcohol mix. I've got everything covered, and I think the color has turned out real nice. I was going to put on a wiping varnish today, and I got down here and realized I was out of polyurethane, so I'm not going back to the store. I had plenty of shellac left over, so right now I'm just putting a straight coat of uncut shellac on there. I put a coat on the back. I wanted to just do one coat on the back to seal it, especially up in the 45 angle of the French cleat. And I put another coat here, and I think the color has turned out real nice, just what I wanted. I didn't need any more stain or anything. I like the way it is. So, put another coat in here, and then I will flip these over and lay the cabinet down and put a coat on the inside of that. I've been thinking about these doors. For the time being, I'm just going to leave them natural wood, but I have that 1/4 inch inset there, and later on I may put either a chalkboard or a whiteboard and inset those in there. And also I would like to get some of those little clips, like clipboard clips, and put on the front just to hang my papers. You know, when you're working on a project, it's nice to have them hanging where you can see them. So I will probably add those at a later time and possibly put either chalkboard or whiteboard. I particularly like chalk myself. I will probably get some hardboard and some of the chalkboard paint. Well, as you can see here, the tool cabinet's done and on the wall. Got my hand tools in there, got my planes, some other tools here. I've got room for more chisels, another saw here, and a few other tools eventually. But this has been a fun project, and I'm so glad to get my hand tools stored up properly. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.